and my cat
Right.
was walking. It's pretty funny. It's quite hilarious. So, all right, and there we are live on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thankful
And
Thursday. And
like, right.
again, it's
Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Well, good morning, Sharon. I'm sorry you're not going to be talking today because I always love to hear what you have to say. So good morning, Deb and Mickey and Lynn and Karen and Dove and Wellington. Wellington, I've never met you. I'm Lori, or my name is Lori. I'm not Lori. So, oh,
Hi,
there you
Laurie. Good morning.
go. Welcome, welcome. Have you
Thank
been
you.
on here before on ACIM Gather?
Yes, I've been, here like 1 month ago, maybe the last time I came here.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So what we do on Thankful Thursday, we just talk basically. We start with the lesson of the day and then it we usually read about 3 lines from it and then we go off on a tangent and talk about whatever happens to be coming up in our lives around A Course in Miracles. So if you want to weigh in or make comments, just raise your hand and you're free to do that. So okay, so today is today's lesson, and I'll apologize if I don't see people's hands raised right away because I don't have my book in front of me because I'm out of town. So I'm going to just be slipping back and forth between the emails that Lynn sends on the internet and our room. Okay, so today we are on a review lesson 85. Paragraph 1, my grievances hide the light of the world in me. My grievances show me what is not there and hide from me what I would see. Recognizing this, what do I want my grievances for? They keep me in darkness and hide the light. Grievances and light cannot go together, but light and vision must be joined for me to see. To see, I must lay grievances aside. I want to see, and this will be the means by which I will succeed. Specific applications for this idea might be made in these forms. Let me not use this as a block to sight. The light of the world will shine all this away. I have no need for this. I want to see. And the next review lesson is 70. My salvation comes from me. Today I will recognize where my salvation is. It is in me because its source is there. It has not left its source, and so it cannot have left my mind. I will not look for it outside myself. It is not found outside and then brought in. But from within me, it will reach beyond, and everything I see will but reflect the light that shines in me and in itself. These forms of the idea are suitable for more specific applications. Let this not tempt me to look away from me for my salvation. I will not let this interfere with my awareness of the source of my salvation. This has no power to remove salvation from me. So basically, I like this 69, my grievances hide the light of the world in me, because last week we were doing lesson 78. Um, let let a miracle replace all grievances. Let miracles replace all grievances. And we were talking about how the miracle stands behind every single grievance. It's right there. It's always there. It's like our Christ self is always there, right behind every thought we have, every feeling we have, every personality quirk that we think that we are. Our Christ self is right there. And I'm reading a book right now called The Anatomy of Awakening by Dr. Sue Morter, Morter. And I've never heard of her before. And I mentioned it to a friend of mine. She goes, "Oh, yeah, I know who she is." And I thought, well, that's interesting because I guess when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And she has these exercises that she does about, bringing the light into the body. Well, I would never have wanted anything to do with that even a month ago. But I got to this place where I'm hitting this wall and hitting this place of, well, I need to surrender, God, because what I'm doing is not working. It's not helping me embrace being alive and living here and in the physical world. So here it comes. And it's like, she talks about the God body, which would have made me go, ah, I don't want anything to do with that. Are you kidding me? But but basically it's like, okay, I surrender. It's like, okay, use this body as an instrument. And I've been saying that for years, for forever. Use this body as a vessel for God. Use it as a divine learning device, as a communication channel, and it's okay. And knowing that the body is really not form, nothing in form is really form. It's all energy, it's all light, it's all information. And so then it's like, okay, I don't have to make the body an enemy. I don't have to have grievances about the body. Probably my major grievance has been about the body, and a lot of us too. So I'm at this place where it's like, I surrender, God. This thing about aging or aches and pains, or a new wrinkle or a new faculty disappears or has a problem every week when you're aging. It's like, no, 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 no. The body is neutral, and I'm not going to project this hatred onto the body. And so I've been starting, well, probably for, oh, at least a year or so, or more, since I started doing the Joe Dispenza work. But I just imagine myself as light, as love, as information, as energy, and that's all flowing through the body. So when they have specific exercises to get that energy moving and using the body as a divine instrument, then they feel pretty good. When I do them, I feel good. If I don't do them, I don't feel good. So yeah, Sue Morter does body awake yoga, um and then yeah, Mickey, the body is really, it's just a projection. So we are love and light. So the body can be a reflection of that love and light, and it feels a whole lot better than when I used to just hate the body and get mad every single time I would notice a new flaw or a new aging symptom or something like that. Because even aging, if there's no time, why is there aging? Because we believe in aging. And I remember reading Deepak Chopra's Quantum Healing, or I think that was the one, or one of his books. And he said that, he goes, aging is just about consciousness. You have a consciousness that the body ages. If you didn't have the consciousness that the body aged, it wouldn't age, because it is a projection. And I do notice that very much, that there can be all kinds of symptoms that just disappear when I shift my consciousness. And it's just really nice. And good morning, Glorian. So it's been really good. And I'll tell you, seeing this intuitive psychic healer, Christo Bowers, that I mentioned last week. Well, what's happening is very interesting, because again, dealing with the body, it's like, I don't want to have anything to do with the body. Let me just meditate and go into the peaceful light of God that makes me feel so safe. Well, he identified something in the root chakra. He goes, you don't feel safe in this world. You're just saying, I just want a place to feel safe. And I said, well, that I know where that place is. I go to meditation. I open my Course in Miracles book. That's where I feel safe. I talk with my friends about God. I totally feel safe in that, because I know it's the truth. But then it doesn't really help with doing daily stuff here, because I have to come out of meditation. So it's been really good. So instead of hating the body, I'm doing what Joe Dispenza suggests. He suggests just focusing your attention, because he says your attention is your energy. Focus loving attention on each of the chakras. So my upper chakras are fine. Those are the ones connected to God. It's the three lower ones that are all messed up. They have all kinds of beliefs and blocks and compressions and denseness and stuff like that that gets in the way. Well, and it's like, well, of course, I get that. I get that because I haven't wanted to be on the planet. So now I am doing these loving meditations where I just focus attention and energy. And I, do the colors, the red, the orange, and the gold or the yellow. And it actually feels really good. And I can feel stuff clearing out, stuck stuff. Because last night I'm at my niece's house out of town, and I was telling her about this stuck trauma that he goes, "You don't hate the world, you don't hate the body. You just didn't get your needs met when you were a kid with this trauma, and it's sitting there. This energy is sitting there raw and unprocessed." And the crazy thing is, it happened when I was six rather, when I was 60 years ago. And I'm going, I would have sworn I processed that and dealt with it because I've known about it for 40 years. And I have talked about it, but I dealt with it and forgave everything else around. I forgave my mom, my dad, the death of miscarriage and stuff like that. But I never forgave and processed the stuff that I felt at 6 years old. Like, why do people have to die? And so it going to that and just going, well, we know people don't die, but a 6 year old doesn't know that. And why do horrible things have to happen? And why do parents have to get divorced and stuff like that little kids can't figure out? And as an adult, we can rationalize and go, well, that's the way of life here. But the emotions were still sitting there. He said it was like a pool of emotions that were unprocessed. He said they're raw and unprocessed. So every time one of your friends' kids dies, like has happened a couple times in the last year, it's awful, or something else traumatic happens, you're just like right hooked. It's right there. The energy just, resonates with that, and you go down the tubes. Well, um, as I'm focusing this loving attention on those areas, I can feel it softening. I can feel it releasing. It's just really, really nice. And I don't like to get into the stories. And in the last couple of years, I don't want to have anything to do with my past. I've talked about that enough. That's the personal self. I just don't want any stories. I just don't want any of that. Well, if it's not healed, it can't be released. So now it feels like it's getting released, and it's been great because I'm laughing again. I'm feeling alive again. I'm feeling energy again, and it's like, wow, that really was stuck. So I'm not so opposed to body work anymore. I saw that heart, Karen. Um, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for being led to this because I had prayed. I said, I need help. I need help. I cannot go on living with this sense of being pulled under when there's a tragedy. I can't do it. And I wouldn't get pulled under forever, but then it was accumulating. There were 4 incidents in the last year that were really traumatic with people that I know. And it's like, oh, I told him, I said, but this is just how I respond to what happens to my friends. What's going to happen if it happens in my family? I'm not going to be able to pull myself back out, and I'm not going back down to depression. I won't allow it. I don't think I'll ever get back to where I used to be because I just have too much awareness, and I just won't allow that. But I feel good now. I feel like, God is the strength in which I trust. So lesson 47, or God is my strength. Vision is his gift. Lesson 42. I would say those things before, but I wouldn't really feel them. So what was happening was I'll say, I forgive that, or God is my strength, but the only time I would really feel them was when I was in meditation, because the rest of the time I'd walk around feeling, oh, just this sense of, I don't want to be here. What bad thing is going to happen next? And he just said that was that little 6-year-old that was so confused and it just didn't get healed. It just didn't get out of there. And it just is, it's a mind blower. How can that be? 60 years later, that still, that stuff, that energy was still there. And I guess that previously I would have thought, I'm such a failure. Oh my gosh, I've been through so much therapy and so much healing and done so much spiritual work. What's wrong with me that is not healed? And of course, the what's wrong with me is a little kid thing. There's nothing wrong with any of us. It's just experience. It's just what we go through. It's just how we process it. And we can learn and get better ways of processing and clearing things out. So I'm talking a little longer now because Sharon's not here to talk. But yesterday I had a client who was talking about the same thing, and it's always that way. I notice that all my friends and all my clients are all going through the same thing at the same time. And I said to him, I said, well, it seems to me like you're at the place where you need to surrender with that I don't know mind. And he goes, yeah, he goes, I was thinking about that. So I sent him the verse in chapter 14, section 11. The first line of that section is, the most important thing is to know that you do not know. And I said, I said, this is a good place to be. He was identifying it as a bad place, kind of like I was, like going, I don't know what to do from here. I don't know. And I'm seeing a lot of people get to that place where it's like, we've done everything we can. And it's so funny because I was at my brother's house the other day, and his girlfriend pulls out these runes, these, the Norwegian or Nordic runes, RUNES, those little tablets. And she goes, you want to pull one? I'm like, okay. I pulled surrender and I laughed. I said, this is exactly where I'm at, which is like, I don't know. And so the most important thing is to know that you don't know, and that surrender, it's like this total surrender on God. And so when I surrendered, what happened? I was led to books about the body, books about the human evolution, books that I would have said before, I want absolutely nothing to do with those books. I don't want anything to do with the body. I don't want to do anything to do with humanity. I just want to wake up and drop the body and be out of here. But make your plans and God laughs. It's like, yeah, you think that's what you need. Well, this is really what you need. And it's very similar to 15, 16 years ago when I said, okay, you mean I can choose when I die? Okay, I'm out of here. I'm gonna die. And I had all that energy. I made up a memorial service. I, you know, put tags on everything I owned, and 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 wrote notes to all my loved ones, and was kind of just waiting for a car crash or an aneurysm or a heart attack to happen. And it almost happened. I almost got in this almost fatal. It would have been fatal this if it had happened. But we screeched down our brakes, and then I was so mad and realized when I turned, I said, God, what the hell was that about? I didn't say it that way. I was swearing F words all over the place. Like, I should have been out of here. Why didn't I get out of here? And when I opened the book at random, because Spirit told me to do that, lesson 191, I am the Holy Son of God Himself. And it said, deny your own identity, and watched despair and hatred snatch from you every last bit of hope, leaving you nothing but the wish to die. And it was like, oh, you think you were supposed to die? The body was supposed to die? No. Your ego was supposed to die. You're supposed to identify with the Holy Son of God Himself that you are. That is who you are. That's what you're here for. And so from that point on, it was like, okay, I'm not going to go into these suicidal feelings or desires to die. I'm going to do my best. But in the background, that feeling of, I just want to get out of here. I just want to die, was always there. And I don't want that to be there. I just want to focus on, I want to live. I want to be life. If God is life and God is love and I am that, then let it be flowing through me. Let it be happy and joyful and free. And that's what I'm finally feeling again. Yeah, thanks for that heart, Sharon. Yeah, it's really nice. So, Karen, you wrote on the board, all here for lessons we came to learn. Perfect classroom. Yeah, and so apparently maybe the lesson here for me was something that my boyfriend way back when, so this was in 2017 that he said this to me, or 2018. He said, he goes, Lori, because he and I used to talk about wanting to die all the time. And then he went into meditation for a couple years. And then I saw him after that. And then we got together romantically. But he said, he just wanted to wake up. He was just, I am absolutely determined to wake up. Well, then he said, he goes, do you want to, do you want to be out of the body? And I'm going, of course I do. And he goes, no, no, there's no difference. There's no difference if you're in a body or not in a body. And this was before he dropped dead of a heart attack, like 6 months later. And but he and I used to always talk about wanting to be out of a body, but apparently he got the lesson. Like you're mentioning there on the chat board, Karen, lessons we came here to learn. No difference, because it's like lesson 155. I will step back and let him lead the way. When they learn that their reality is even here, then they step back and let him, the Holy Spirit, lead the way. So he had gotten that lesson that it doesn't matter because the body's not real anyway. The world's not real no matter where you are. So this is an interesting thing. So I had asked this psychic healer the other day, well, I said, where's Rod? You know, my partner who, my former partner who died almost 3 years ago now. Where is he? What is he doing? What is he? I mean, this is all a dream. I mean, is he even real? What? And he said, well, he goes, he's in kind of like a dreamlike state where he's, just exploring things. It's all, in your mind. It's all like fantasizing different things. And so he's just kind of exploring different options of living in an idealized, a dreamlike state. And he goes, it's kind of like here, we get into one thing of being interested in one subject for a while and another subject for a while. And he goes, that's what he's doing. I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. And that makes sense. He's in a dreamlike state. Well, we're in a dreamlike state. I mean, when we're aware of it, we're just aware, excuse me, that we are dreaming. And it's like, well, that makes sense. Okay. All right. And even that helped loosen up some energy tied to him, because I don't want energy to be tied to the past. Just being in the here and now. And I feel like if I'm thinking about an old partner, then that's energy going to the past. And that's not a good thing. So, anyway, I've just babbled on here for a while. So, Dove, why don't you take the mic?
Okay, I hardly call that babbling, Laura. You have a real art of sharing. I remember when you used to share here for a whole hour. No one got a bigger audience at ACIM Gather than you, and you got the most reactions, people replying to your sharing. I mean, so you have that real gift of sharing. You really do. Good morning, everybody. It's happy, thankful Thursday, and I want to welcome Wellington back. Yeah, Wellington's been here a number of times, and welcome everybody who is here. My partner for the next hour will be Karen, and she's here, and Deb and Mickey and Lynn and Gloria and Sharon. Sharon, we really miss you because I mean I love listening to your sharing too. I mean, I don't know exactly why you're not sharing tonight, but that's okay. Everybody's entitled to a day off. Dub, when's the last time you took a day off? I don't remember. So, yeah, actually, I realize I'm not the one who's sharing. It's always Holy Spirit. So no matter what I say, I have nothing to do with it, truly. As Jesus says, listen, I'm holding your hand, and I'm not saying that in a figurative sense. That's literally what's true. I'm holding your hand, And that's the same thing as Holy Spirit being here, holding your hand and speaking to you and through you. That's the whole idea of developing trust in who you truly are. And who I truly am not is a part of me that believes with a big lie in the things of this world, the laws of this world. That's I think, let's see, today's lesson, I'm under, what is today's lesson? I am entitled to miracles, and the miracles basically, actually, this is part of a series of lessons that end in tomorrow's lesson. Tomorrow's lesson is let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. And then it says the last lesson, lesson number 80 or 90 in review, let me recognize my problems have been solved. So the ego looks at life as a problem. Well, of course. I mean, 79 and let miracles, lesson 89, let miracles replace all grievances. Of course, you're going to have grievances because you believe in the laws of this world. I mean, it's so obvious that nothing in this world really means anything. I mean, let's put it another way. There is no world. He tells you that very clearly in my birthday lesson, lesson 132, paragraph 6 says, there is no world, exclamation point. And this is the central theme that this course teaches. So, talking about bodies, he says, you were never born and you were never died. So he's not talking about the body. He's talking about the Son of God that never left home. I came across a new metaphysics, which I'm going to mention later today in our 3 A's of metaphysics. I thought I knew all of them. And I just found a new one, which goes beyond the realm of make-believe, which is what this world is. And it's a line right out of the course. And I don't know where it is. I don't know if Karen, you actually found the line, but basically it goes like this. There is no life outside of heaven. There's no life outside of heaven. No, but what is heaven? What do you mean by heaven? Well, heaven is an awareness of perfect oneness. So there's no life outside of oneness. You don't have to go anywhere to be in heaven. It's just your remembrance of the truth. Yeah. So that, in this world, I heard you mention the word surrender, and I think I once mentioned this. Nowhere in the course will you find the word surrender, and there's a reason for that. Helen hated that word. So whether Jesus ever used the word surrender to her or not, we don't know. But since she hated the word, she found another word, which is denial. And that's one of my favorite sections of the course, denial, chapter 21, section 7, the last unanswered question. And he said, no, the last unanswered question isn't, do you want to be the ruler of the universe? Oh, that's BS. The last unanswered question is, are you willing, keyword is willing, to deny the denial of truth? Are you willing to deny the denial of truth? So that's like a double denial. We have denied the truth. That's how we got here. Very simple. We denied oneness, heaven, and we saw two-ness, which is ego's make-believe world of you or me, us or them, good and bad, right and wrong. It's always a world of opposites, things that oppose, whereas only that which is equal, same, one is real. So we live in a world of make-believe judgments and And Ken Wapnick says, listen, you want to go from your wrong mind, the mind that's always judging and making yourself wrong, making others wrong, to your right mind where Holy Spirit and Jesus hang out. And you have to do this too. You can't avoid it because only the ego is going to avoid. He says, look at your wrong mind without judgment. And he even goes, look as long as you need to until you smile. And he says, I don't mean a silly smile or, a jerky smile. I mean, a smile that comes from your heart where you realize that what you're looking at doesn't really mean anything, which I always like to say, lesson 1 is the whole course. Nothing I see here means anything. And just in case you think anything here means anything, just go to lesson 2. I gave it all the meaning it has for me. That's right. That's what we do in this world. We give meanings to the meaningless. Tells you that in lesson 11 too. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. I mean, the early lessons are so much fun. They just tell you that you're out of your mind, you're out of your gourd. You're seeing things that aren't real. You're hallucinating. As he says in one paragraph, says, what if you knew you were hallucinating? So, I look at, like I woke up this morning, not in the greatest mindset for Thankful Thursday, and I'm looking at my grievances, and in the world of ego, your grievances are under the laws of the ego. There's one lesson here, lesson 76. I'm under no laws but the laws of God. If you want to have a real laugh, read that lesson. It says, you think putting a needle in your arm or eating the right food or green paper slips, green papers, whatever, and metal discs are going to give you something, you're listening to insanity. None of that really has any value to you whatsoever. Nothing that has value only in time, and the body is only in time, has any value to you, the eternal. What good is something temporary have for someone who is living in eternity? And of course, eternity is not like a long ways off. Eternity is right now. Right now you have no need of any of that, but you think you do. So you go into gain and loss. Oh my God, I lost. Why did I lose? Why is this happening to me? I like it much better when I'm winning. I don't want to lose. So that's the ego's entire game. I want more. I don't have enough. And that's going to keep you busy for a very long time. Yeah. Hi, Regis. Everyone loves Regis. Yes. Yeah, so the sky is blue, and you can ask, why is the sky blue? Well, science has an answer for that, by the way. You can find it almost in any one of the AI will tell you exactly why the sky is blue. But none of that really means anything because, as Laurie said here earlier, until you get to the place where you say, I don't know anything, you're listening to the ego that knows everything about everything. Yeah, like the AI knows everything about everything, but that's why they call it artificial. Notice that, it's like living in the matrix, there can be a lot of glitches, baby. And, glitches mean a little pain and suffering. Oh, well, that's okay. I can handle the pain and suffering. Really? Actually, there's no need for pain and suffering when you listen to the one thing he tells you to do. You might say, well, I don't remember Jesus telling me to do anything. That's right. Chapter 18, section 7. I need do nothing. Now, that's probably the hardest thing to do in a world where you believe that you're an ego, because egos are always in the doing. And Jesus is telling you, no, 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 there's no doing in being the love of God. Love is. There we go again. The isness. Yeah. God is. You can drop the God part. Is. It's an ongoing, always is, always is. As Mandy Sok wrote that book of poetry, which is really wonderful. Isness is your only business. Yeah. Koans to trip up the mind that believe in doingness, getting, yeah. In the 3 lessons of the Holy Spirit, she actually says in the second of the 3 lessons, the very first step in this undoing process is to stop this getting habit of yours. Getting, doing. There's no getting in a world of make-believe. There's no doing when you already are. As Rafi would say, can you already be and do at the same time? That's about it right now. Anyone have any thoughts? Anyone want to share anything? Anyone's stimulated by anything that was said by Laurie, me, or anything that you want to share on?
Karen, go ahead.
Go ahead, Laurie.
Karen had her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Karen, go ahead.
That's okay. Hi, Dove. Thank you. Thank you, Lori. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to comment on what Lori shared, Lori. I love everything that you shared, as always. And when you were talking about the body, um, you said your major grievance is always about the body. And I think everyone can agree with that. I think that's a universal statement. And it reminds me of lesson 68, where he says, love holds no grievances. You who were created by love like itself can hold no grievances and know your capital S self. To hold a grievance is to forget who you are. To hold a grievance is to see yourself as a body. And that's what the Course keeps reminding us over and over again, that we can say, I am not a body, I am free, or I am this body and I am in prison. You know, it's one or the other. And Dove, when you said I woke up and I wasn't, you weren't feeling that great at first, right? Or something like that.
Right.
When you woke up. And I can say, I feel lately, I've been feeling like I have bipolar. I'm bipolar. I've been working so hard on getting over like this depression that I've been going through. And just when I think I'm out, they pull me in, like the Godfather says. I feel like Michael Corleone. It pulls me in. It's like these ego thoughts, and it's like I'll be fine 1 minute, the next minute I'm crying, and I'm like, so it happened this morning, and love holds no grievances. Love created me like itself. To hold a grievance is to believe you are a body, and I was believing that I was this body. And my uncle just happened to come in, and he said, he's not a Course in Miracles student, but he said, first of all, he said that God would never hear a prayer about you asking for anything to do with the body, to make the body better, or to want something to help the body get better. And I said, you're right. I said, you're absolutely right. And he said, it's really, then he mentioned all the things that he's going through physically, and not to compare notes, but just to say we're all going through stuff. And he's right, everybody is, and it's the decision of a mind. It's the decision in the mind whether I want to be happy or be sad, accept where I am or not. But I have to say that what Lori shared about trauma, feel like there's so much trauma in my body. And so, I have a spine that has like a cage, and I can't release the tension like I normally would be able to. So I feel like there's so much trapped trauma. So I'm going to see a chiropractor and see if he can help me to release some of the trauma, because I can't move the spine like I could before. But I also love what Lori said about focusing your loving attention. And I'm not really knowledgeable about the chakras, but the course does say perception has a focus. So what am I focusing on? And like, I can choose love. I can choose to send loving thoughts and think loving thoughts and accept where I'm at. And I think I do a damn good job at it most of the time, but there's just times when it's like an emotional thing. I don't know what happens. It just happens. So when it happens, I embrace it and I accept it. And this is what's happening. This is where I'm at. So I'm going to be bipolar for a while until I'm not, Can I accept it? Yeah, I can. It's okay. And I also love that you shared about, the most important thing is to know that you don't know, and to know that, we don't know what anything is for. I have no idea what anything is for. I have to trust, which I'm trusting. I do trust. I do trust that all things work together for good. Do I like it? No. Does it suck? Yeah. Do I wish things were different sometimes? Yeah. Um, there's also a section in chapter 3 that you reminded me of, Lori. It's let me see if I can find it. It's chapter 3. I think it's about perception and knowledge. And he talks about, he says, perception must be straightened out before you can know anything. To know is to be certain. Uncertainty means you do not know. So perception must be straightened out. Straightened out means that, he tells us in another lesson, straighten my mind, my father. It is sick. It is sick with ego thoughts. Straighten my mind, my father. It is sick. The mind needs to be straightened out with the Holy Spirit. 100% love. You also mentioned, Lori, when you first started speaking about that, your Christ self is always there. For me, that is the Holy Spirit is always there in the right mind. 100% love. Perception must be straightened out. That thought system is always there. I just have to tap into it. And that's the key. Do I want to be right? Do I want to be happy? Do I want to forgive, or do I want to condemn? Do I want to believe I'm this body, or do I want to be free? And I want to be free. So I accept myself where I'm at, and it's perfect, and it does suck at times, but I do trust that all things work together for good, except in the ego's judgment. So thank you, Lori. Thank you, Dove. And I see Glorian has her hand up.
Thank you so much for that, Karen. Thank you. Gloria, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Karen, Dove, and Lori, and everyone for being here. When I was listening, when I first came in, I think Lori was talking about, the grievances and being associated with the body. The grievance is identifying with the image or the body. So that's always our grievance. Because if we weren't in that false identification, then we would be aligned with spirit. So, Jesus tells us that we can't really judge our advances and retreats. And I think that that's so important that we come to recognize that, we're beat over the head with, we can't judge, that's relinquished judgment, but we're always judging ourselves. And the idea is to be gentle but vigilant. So my friend, I'm going to try to get this out. My friend transitioned to spirit on Monday evening. And, people are like, oh, well, that. Yeah, I do know the truth. But the fact is, we miss the form of our friend. And I mean, to deny that is not helpful. And that's my point. The point is that we don't deny our feelings. We work through it. We wouldn't be here. We would not be here if we were done learning. And if we were in complete forgiveness, like he says, forgiveness will disappear. So we use everything, but we're not here to spiritually bypass what we feel, or to say, try to run away or deny grief, which is a process, which is something that does transpire here. We miss the form of our friends. And, yeah, of course, even especially after the NDE, I understand that we're pure awareness, if we're aligned with that mind. But if we're in this mind, this is not what we're seeing. But if we are in this mind, that means there's deeper to go. So it's always just recognizing that, this is a classroom, being gentle with ourselves, but vigilant for God and the kingdom. And that's why we come together in groups like this, where we reinforce our ideas, share what we've accepted for ourselves to increase it. Thanks so much for listening.
All right, thank you, Gloria. And I just wanted to add a little to what Karen was saying here earlier. Yeah, the idea of not knowing is probably the greatest gift you can give to yourself. I spent 27 years believing that I knew everything about everything because, I'm pretty good at reading the course and putting all the concepts together and saying, boy, I know everything about everything, until about, it was 27 years into doing the course. It was the year 2004. That's 22 years ago. I heard a voice that said, "Hey, Dove, close the book already. You can't find yourself in a book. A book is words, symbols, concepts. You're not a concept." And it was right then that I selected lesson number 25 as my mantra lesson. And that's the only one in the course that says, I don't know what anything is for. That's the name of the lesson. And right in paragraph 1, Holy Spirit tells you what everything is for. Can you imagine? He tells you right in paragraph 1, everything here is for you. Whereas the ego says, what are you, crazy? You think that's for me? I'm losing. So ego looks at, gain, loss, you, me, us, them, right, wrong, as real. And Spirit smiles and says, no, none of that is real. Everything here is for you, because this is a classroom. You come to learn lessons. And no matter what happens, it's a lesson you came here to learn. So the people in our lives who seem to give us the bitter part of life are really there to help us learn lessons. As Ken Wapnick would say, if you really want to do this course on the fast track, don't hang out with people that make you feel good. That's not where your lessons are. Hang out where it's uncomfortable. Actually, Jesus says the same thing in the course. He uses the word discomfort. I think it's in chapter 2 or something like that. The text, you can look it up. There's only one place in the course that uses the word discomfort. Yeah, you're here to be uncomfortable so that you learn something. You're not going to learn something if you're flying through the world saying, oh, like you're on a roller coaster. There's 2 ways to be on a roller coaster, of course, too. One is to hold on with the white knuckles, and the other, ooh. Either way, it's unreal. You got to laugh. With that, Karen, is your okay? Karen's hand is not up. Back over to you, Lori. Go ahead.
Okay. I like what you said, Dov, about not knowing. I don't know is a great gift to ourselves. And welcome, Regis. I wanted to address what you said about all that pain. And it's like I had gotten to the place where I had been in so much emotional suffering that I developed an addiction to despair. I didn't know it. I was crying and crying and crying. I mean, I cried for decades, literally. I mean, I did. And all the time. And it was what the bleep do we know that showed me that you could be addicted to feelings. I didn't know about that. Trained as a psychotherapist, I was taught get people to feel, get them to feel, get them to feel, to get them to release stuff. Well, I was doing that at home by myself all the time and developing an addiction where the real healing did not come. So after a while, I got to the place of I am so tired of thinking about this grief and all that. I want nothing to do with my childhood. Absolutely nothing. It's done. It's over. I've talked about it enough. And so I was shocked when I was led back to this healer because it's like, oh, please, but I know I was led. And so to find that trauma, that pool of it, he said it was like a pool of energy that he said was raw and unprocessed. After 60 years, when I knew about that and talked about it in different times, for 40 years, I knew about it. I addressed that issue when I was thinking of getting pregnant with my daughter because I knew my issues around mothering were coming up around my own mother and her miscarriage and all this stuff. And so I thought it was processed. So I guess what I'm saying is that, Karen, I'm glad you're seeing that chiropractor. There's got to be something in there that's hidden that we're not seeing. Some type of belief of I don't deserve healing or I don't deserve to be well or um, things that we would intellectually as adults and knowing what we know now, which is, of course, I deserve healing. I am entitled to miracles. Lesson 77. I am the Holy Son of God Himself. Of course, I am. I'm not this person who has this trauma anymore. That was a long time ago. That's the past. That's the illusion. That's the ego. But I was just absolutely shocked to find that stuff was raw and unprocessed there. And I am so grateful because I really do feel like it's clearing out. And so those dark cornerstones, the guy, the intuitive healer I saw called it a cornerstone event. He said that event happened and then everything in your life, it's the way you learned to view the world, like, what the hell happens here? Oh my God, bad things happen and why? And this is so awful and they don't get fixed. And well, he's right. That's how I ended up seeing the world all the time. Waiting for the X to fall, always waiting for the next bad trauma to happen and worry, just in the background all the time. And with that sense of, well, there's something wrong with me that I feel this way. There's something wrong with me that I can't seem to get over this grief. There's something wrong with me. There's, which is, of course, little kid stuff because we get into the course and we go, well, no, I'm the perfect holy child of God. God doesn't see me as flawed, but that stuff, that energy is still in there, stuck in the energetic field of your body. And this is what I didn't want to deal with. I didn't want to deal with the energy field of the body. I didn't want to deal with the body at all. I just wanted to be happy. I just wanted to be free of all of that. But so anyway, you had said something, Karen, about loving, it's 100% love. And so it was like I had to get to this 100% love for all of the traumas and all of the feelings that I had been judging and saying, stop it, just stop feeling that way. Just, you've been through this enough. And I said to the healer guy, I said, I wouldn't talk to my grandkids that way. I wouldn't tell them, get over it. You've been through this, get over it, just stop it. I would never talk to a child that way. But that's the way I was talking to myself and to my inner child. So you're right. It's about the 100% love and glory and what you were saying about your friend. It's like, yeah, while we're here, it hurts. It hurts like hell. And one of the things, he was, this healer, he reads your field. He goes, because you have this block in your sacral chakra about relationships. Is like you are so tired of hurting about them and you just don't want to deal with it anymore. And I'm like, well, you got that one, you know. But if I don't have compassion and love for that, even that sentiment or that feeling, instead of going, well, stop feeling that way, or you better be positive, hurry up, be positive, and let it all, no, have compassion, have love. That's what it is all about, loving all of it. And I heard someone saying yesterday about loving everything as it is. And it's like, well, of course, because if we are love, if we're not loving everything, then we're not being the self, the capital S self. We're just not. Um, we're not being true to truth. So anyway, does anybody else want to say anything? And welcome, Sally.
Thank you.
Oh, Gloria, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just share what I put in the chat. And thank you, Lori, for everything you said. It was perfect. But when we recognize that I see only the past. So when we do not let go of our past trauma, we project it over and over again. We take it with us throughout our seeming life here. And he tells us until every dark cornerstone of guilt is overturned, the old thought system has the basis for return. And I'm glad you said that, because we can all look at it that when frightened, we turn to our old defense mechanisms. So until we're willing to look at them lovingly and then make that pause and then let them go, it will repeat. And that's because it's everything that we seemingly see is a projection of our own thoughts. So if our thoughts are not healed, this is what we keep perpetuating. So it's very important that to me, no one can ever really be in denial because, as I just said, you're going to see it again. But, if we want to use seeming time effectively, we want to look at what it is that we're doing so we can make another choice about it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Gloria. And that was perfect. And yeah, we return to our old defense mechanisms. What I didn't realize was that A Course in Miracles became a defense mechanism for me. And not that it wasn't a good defense mechanism, it is, because it's truth. But what was happening was I was going into A Course in Miracles in my comfort and my safe place with God, but then I couldn't come out. And so I recognized the difference between a coping mechanism. Maybe it wasn't a defense so much as a coping mechanism, but the coping mechanism never allowed that early trauma to get actually processed and released. That's the difference. Because as long as I held self-hatred, or as long as I held that, stop it, get over it, or you shouldn't be feeling this way anymore because you've dealt with it so many times, that type of self-hatred, how can it get processed? Karen, go ahead.
Exactly. Thank you, Gloria, and thank you, Lori. And this morning when my uncle came in, he was so damn sweet. He's like, he said, it's okay. He said, because I said, God, I just wish I could get over this, like I just want to get over this. And there's so many things I'm just not healed from in my mind. And I know that I know that it's me and it's my thoughts that I need to heal. And he said, you will get there when you get there. It was so comforting to me for him to meet me where I was and not say, I'm so sick of hearing this, just shut up and stop, no, he said, it's okay. He said, you will. He said, this too shall pass, and it will. And he said, and you will get there. Do you know, that was everything to me, man. That was like, you know what, you're right, because that's the encouragement that I needed in that moment. And I know that it is. So I just wanted to share that, how right on that is, that's what we need to be and how we need to be with each other. Thank you.
Karen, that was beautiful. And it's Zulma's time now. So thank you, everyone, for Thankful Thursday. Bye.
Oh, can you see what I put in the chat, the picture I put in the chat? Anyone? What, Dove?
Dove and Ken?
Yeah, because that's the quote that Dove said earlier, and I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I wasn't sure if it worked or not. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, thank you guys very much. Beautiful sharing this morning. And I just want to remind everybody, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not because you haven't given up your dream thoughts, dream world. None of us have. It's not your fault that you have sickness. It's not your fault that you have a body. These are, quit blaming yourself. Get out of that and recognize that that's just the condition of this world. And to be in this world, that's all that is likely to happen. When you stop having a body, you'll stop being in this world and you'll stop having all these things. But you're not going to do it right now because this is where we're at right now. It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. Don't guilt yourself. Don't think that somehow or the other I didn't do something right and that's the reason I'm sick. It's